My mother-in-law, Diane, started on me the moment Trevor introduced us. Her comments were always wrapped in sugar and poison. "Oh, she's interesting," she'd say, looking me up and down. "I'm sure she'll grow on us," with that smile that never reached her eyes. For 2 years, I swallowed it. At family dinners, she asked about my little job at the nonprofit, while bragging about friends' daughters who were doctors and lawyers. She'd compliment Trevor's brother's wife, Melissa, endlessly, then look at me and say things like, "You're very different from what we're used to." I brought my grandmother's award-winning potato salad to a family barbecue, hoping to impress. Everyone loved it, until Diane took a bite. "Interesting flavor profile," she said, putting her fork down. "Very regional. Some people prefer heavier dishes." Then she loudly pointed everyone toward her quinoa salad, for those watching their figures. Later, I overheard her telling her sister it was swimming in mayonnaise and that I wasn't used to entertaining refined palates. At a cousin's wedding, I wore a navy dress I'd saved for months to buy. Diane showed up in almost the same dress in black. "How funny! We almost match," she said. "I hope people don't think we coordinated. That would be embarrassing." She spent the rest of the night joking that I'd copied her. In the grocery store, she pulled a box of Hamburger Helper out of my cart like it was toxic. "How practical," she said loudly. "Some people just don't have time for made-from-scratch meals." Then she lectured me about nutrition while her cart was full of expensive pre-made deli food. When I calmly mentioned my 12-hour days managing housing programs for homeless families, her smile slipped for a second, then snapped back into place. I poured my heart into homemade Christmas gifts, hand-knitted scarves, photo albums, personalized ornaments. Diane opened hers last, held up the scarf I'd worked on for months, and said, "How crafty. I'll have to find somewhere special to put this." Like it was something a kindergartner made. When Melissa handed out Bath and Body Works candles, Diane gushed like she'd just received heirloom jewelry. The next morning, I saw my scarf in a donation bag she was loading into her car. When I got promoted to program director, beating candidates with master's degrees, Trevor took me out to celebrate. Diane's reaction? "How nice they're giving you more responsibilities. I just hope it doesn't interfere with your home life. Career women often struggle with balance." At dinner, she spent the evening talking about divorce rates among working couples and how some women prioritize careers over family. Then, with fake sincerity, "Of course, Bridget's job is more of a calling than a real career. Very noble, even if it's not financially rewarding." The engagement party she hosted felt more like an audition. I was failing. She invited all her friends and almost none of mine. To each person, she introduced me the same way. "This is Bridget. She works with disadvantaged people. It's very noble." I felt like a charity project she was showing off. The final straw before everything blew up came during wedding planning. Every decision was wrong in Diane's eyes. Venue too casual, flowers too simple, menu not sophisticated enough. She wanted the rehearsal dinner at her country club. "Of course, we'll need to be careful with the guest list," she said. "Some venues have standards." Then she looked straight at me. "I'm sure your family would feel more comfortable somewhere, less formal. The club can be intimidating for people who aren't used to that level of service." That was about my parents, my mom, a nurse who worked double shifts, and my dad, a mechanic who built his own shop from nothing. That night, I called my mom in tears, saying maybe I wasn't cut out for this family. "If they can't see your worth, that's their failing, not yours," she said. "You can't spend your life trying to prove yourself to someone who decided you're nothing." 3 weeks before the wedding, I went to Diane's house to pick up decorations for Trevor's bachelor party. Some of the guys were already there in the backyard. As I walked toward the door, I heard my name and froze. I stayed just inside, pulled out my phone, and hit record. I still can't believe Trevor's marrying that girl, Diane said. She's so beneath him. No class, no breeding. Her family's trailer trash, and it shows. My family owns a modest house and has never asked anyone for anything. I've been trying to get him to see it, but he's blinded by whatever spell she's cast, she went on. Girls like that get pregnant immediately to trap you, then take half in the divorce. Just wait. The wedding's going to be a disaster. Did you see her dress? Looks like it came from a discount store. I had to uninvite half the people I wanted just to make space for her people. She mocked my mom, the nurse, my dad, the mechanic, and my sister's memorial tattoos for soldiers and patients she couldn't save in Afghanistan. She called us those types. Then she got strategic. I've been planting seeds everywhere, she bragged. With Trevor's boss, with his friends. Little comments about her background, education, family. Nothing traceable. People will be watching for signs she doesn't belong. We even worked a prenup into the lawyer's draft lifestyle and social expectations. If she fails to integrate, she gets nothing. We had specifically agreed on no prenup. Diane was trying to engineer one behind my back and treat my entire life like a test I was meant to fail. The recording went on for 23 sickening minutes. How I was using Trevor, how my family would expect handouts, how she'd be there to help him through the divorce when I inevitably embarrassed him at some event. When it ended, I sat in my car shaking. Part of me wanted to run straight to Trevor, but my mom's words about not spending my life proving myself to someone who'd already decided I was worthless kept echoing. I didn't want a screaming match. I wanted clarity and consequences. So I got organized. I backed the audio up everywhere: cloud, email, USB. I transcribed it and checked recording laws. I thought hard about what I actually wanted. Not just to hurt Diane, but to stop her from quietly destroying my reputation and my marriage before it even began. 2 days later, at the bridal shower she hosted, I arrived early and played the dutiful future daughter-in-law one last time. She was already gossiping about me. I was just telling Margaret about Bridget's flower choice, she said. Daisies. So rustic. Actually, I said calmly, they were Trevor's grandmother's favorite. He wanted them to honor her. Diane's smile flickered. For 2 hours I watched her perform. Subtle digs disguised as concern, getting my job title wrong, implying my work wasn't substantial, correcting people when they asked what I did, making snide comments about gifts that weren't expensive or elegant enough. When lunch was over and everyone was settled with coffee, I stood up. Thank you all for coming, I said. It means a lot to have support as Trevor and I start our life together. Diane beamed, assuming I was about to praise her. Actually, I continued, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be part of a family, about honesty and respect. 3 days ago, I was here picking up decorations and overheard a conversation. I think you should all hear what was said. Diane went white. Bridget, this isn't— You're right, I said. It isn't appropriate. But it happened. I hit play. She's so beneath him. No class, no breeding. Her family's trailer trash, and it shows. The room went absolutely silent. I let it run long enough for everyone to hear the comments about my parents, my sister, my dress, and those types of people. Then I paused it. There are 22 more minutes, I said. Should I continue? Diane jumped up, shaking. That's out of context. I was just venting. You didn't mean to call my mother trailer trash? I cut in. The nurse who worked double shifts to put 3 kids through college? You didn't mean to describe my dad, who employs 12 people at his shop, as those people? Her closest friend looked horrified. Diane, tell me you didn't say that. I pressed play again and let them hear the prenup talk. the plan to document my mistakes, the strategy to be there for Trevor when he finally divorces her. When I stopped it, I laid printed transcripts on the table. Trevor has heard every word, I said. So has his father. I won't marry into a family under a lie. Diane started crying, insisting she'd been protecting her son and that everyone vents. But no one was buying it the same way anymore. I gathered my gifts and purse. To those who came to support me, thank you, I said. I'm still marrying Trevor next weekend. I still love him. But I'm done pretending Diane's approval matters. I'm done shrinking to fit her standards. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Diane, you're uninvited from the wedding. Security will have your photo, so don't bother showing up. The house erupted as I left. I went straight to Trevor's office, put my phone on his desk, and said, "Listen, all of it." He didn't speak until the recording ended. "I am so sorry," he whispered, pale. I knew she could be cruel, but she's been planning the failure of our marriage. "She's been poisoning your friends and boss against me," I said. "She's turned my family into a punchline. I needed you to hear it from her." We talked for 2 hours about boundaries and what kind of marriage we wanted. He didn't hesitate. "She's not coming to the wedding," he said. "I already uninvited her," I admitted. He stared at me, then actually laughed in disbelief. "You played it at the shower?" Every word. The week before the wedding was chaos. Half the family called to pick sides. Some accused me of cruelty. Others told stories of Diane bullying and controlling for years. One cousin said, "I've been waiting 20 years for someone to call her out." Our wedding itself was smaller and calmer than we'd planned, and so much better. Everyone there truly wanted to be there. My family relaxed for the first time in 2 years. Trevor's dad came and quietly, unmistakably, took our side. There were no digs, no tension, no eggshells, just joy. I did see Diane's car parked across the street during the ceremony. She sat alone, watching from behind the windshield, while her son married the woman she'd tried to get rid of. A part of me felt sad for her. Mostly, I felt free. Afterward, both of us went low contact. Trevor told her clearly, if she wanted any place in our lives, she'd have to respect me and stop the manipulation. For a long time, she chose pride instead. Months later, when we announced we were expecting a baby, her tone shifted. She called Trevor and said, "I want to be involved." "That depends entirely on how you treat Bridget," he replied. "And it starts with a real apology." 2 weeks later, she showed up at our door with flowers and a 3-page letter. She read it aloud, voice shaking. For the first time, she admitted she'd been wrong, not misunderstood, not overprotective, but wrong. She took responsibility for her words about my family and the deliberate sabotage. She didn't excuse it. She didn't blame me. It wasn't perfect. There was still some self-pity under the surface. But it was a start. More importantly, she actually changed. She asked about my work and listened. She respected our boundaries with the baby. She invited my parents to dinner and genuinely tried to get to know them. Trevor and I held the line. Anytime her old habits peeked out, he calmly called them out. "Mom, that's the old behavior. Try again, with respect." And to my surprise, she did. When our daughter Emma was born, I watched Diane hold her and cry. Over time, she became a different kind of grandmother than she'd ever been a mother-in-law. Patient, gentle, genuinely proud. My kids will never know the version of her who called us trailer trash. They know the woman who learned painfully and publicly that love with conditions isn't love at all. Once, years later, Diane told me quietly, "When I called your family those people, I was really talking about my own worst fear that that's how people saw me. I spent so long trying to impress everyone that I forgot how to actually love anyone. The recording still exists somewhere in my cloud. I haven't listened to it in years. Sometimes I think about deleting it. But it's not just a record of Diane at her worst. It's proof of the moment I finally chose myself. The day I pressed play in that living room, I stopped living for her approval and started building the kind of family I wanted. One where love doesn't come with a checklist, where respect runs both ways, and where no one is allowed to call the people you love trash and still sit at your table. That was the day our real family story began.